Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Officer 24/7. My name is Niharika Walia Bhatnagar, and I'm with you with the area of accounting and financial management for bankers. Acha, everybody, in this series, I think we are just about to end the module C as well. Till now, I have covered almost all the chapters of all the chapters of module A, all the chapters of module B, and now moving on to module C. Let's deal with it, everyone. In terms of module C, what are we dealing with? Uh, Number one, I'll be talking about two chapters today. The first one is capital investment decisions, term loans, and equipment. And the second one is, the first is this part, that is capital investment decisions uh, or term loans. And the second chapter that we'll be talking about today is equipment leasing or lease financing. Capital investment decision is basically related to what? Pata hai, I've got a phone, but how did you buy a phone? Do you just go and buy the phone? Or before buying the phone, or buying a laptop, or buying any technical equipment that you are using currently, you will make a lot of efforts. What kind of efforts are we going to make? We'll try to find out the features of that particular product. What is the price that we have to pay for that? And what exactly are the benefits, pros and cons of the particular thing? What is the total of everything, I would say, each and everything regarding that particular uh, organization, about the particular warranty period. We are going to consider so many things. Matlab, in terms of phone, I'll buy a phone which has better resolution, is at least 5G. Right now, every phone is 5G, so it should be 5G, it should be of the latest technology, it should have a good camera, it should have a sturdy body. You don't want a phone which is so delicate that you hold it and gets uh, cracked or has a problem. Low in maintenance, good battery life. These are the things that you already decide. But how much amount you're going to pay in that particular amount, how much benefit you can reap. Because phones are important. But if I buy a phone which is extremely costly and it's not going to be covered from the income that I earn, then what's the fun of it? It's better to buy a phone which will be helpful for me in my working. That is what I'll do. That means my inflow will determine my outflow. If I'm going to earn good money, then I'll pay good money for my phone. That is what we'll do. Capital investment decisions are basically defining or working on certain projects, and you will be working on those projects only if you get good inflow. And if your inflow is more than what you're investing, only then you will say yes to it. Otherwise, you'll say no. That is what we define in terms of capital investment decisions or term loans. Second is equipment leasing. What do you mean by leasing, everyone? Leasing or lease financing is when I cannot afford to buy um, a new machinery. So what would I do? Since I cannot afford, I will take it on a rental basis and I pay rent on it. The lease is of basically two types. First is operating and second is financial. If I take a lease for maybe 1 year or 2 years, while the life of that asset is 10 years, 20 years, so that is operating lease. And if I take a lease which is for the substantial period of the life of the asset, for example, my asset is of 10 years of life. If it has 10 years of life and we are doing it for 6 years or 8 years, then considerable part of the life of this asset is covered in this. So technically, that is what we'll be considering here. This is financial. You know? So when we talk about, this is called financial lease, and one is operating lease. Okay, so here comes the first question, everyone. The question talks about the capital budgeting. How do we define the capital budgeting there, everyone? Okay, I hope the question is clearly visible to you. The capital budgeting technique, which does not require the computation of the cost of capital for decision making purpose, is NPV, IRR, modified IRR, or payback period. Capital budgeting decision. Okay, capital budgeting has two kinds of methods. One is discounted techniques. These are the modern ones because they consider time value of money, while we have something called non-discounted techniques. That means you will just take the value as it is. For example, if I'm going to receive 20,000 after 2 years, we will consider it ठीक है ना, 20,000 is good enough, but you have to think from the point of view, in the next 2 years inflation is going to still come. Whatever you are making in terms of that, this 20,000 is not the same value as it is today. So technically this would be a wrong approach. So how do we correct it? In this case, the correct answer is payback period. Okay, now how is a payback period? NRV is basically a discounted method. IRR is again a discounted method. Modified IRR is also a discounted method. Only payback period is based upon this. Payback period is like this only, everyone. If I have, for example, let's take it this way, everyone. I invested 40,000 rupees. This is my initial investment. Over the period of time, in the year 1, 2, 3, 4, I got 10,000 in the first year, then I got 10,000 in the second year, then I got 10,000 in the third year, and 10,000 in the fourth year. And if I ask you, and this continues like this, fifth, sixth, and seventh year, till seventh year, we are still getting the amount. But by what time my payback period is over? That means if I invested 40, by which year my investment is done? 10, 20, 30, 40, by fourth year. Or I can say if the cash flows are uniform. This is uniform cash flows. When your cash flows are uniform, you take your initial investment and you divide it by annual cash inflows. This means 40,000 divided by 10,000, giving you 4 years. In the next 4 years, I am going to recover this amount. This kind of method is called payback period. In this, you are not utilizing the fact that after 7 years, if you are getting 10,000, the value will not be 10,000 at that point of time. This is going to be lesser than what value of 10,000 is today. For example, due to inflation, due to the compounding of interest and all, over the period of time, the value of the cash increases or decreases. Now, that's a part which is to be considered here. So technically, payback period is a technique which is old but easiest technique. There are two techniques which are covered under non-discounted. One is payback period, and the second one is ARR, accounting rate of return. Done, everyone? Now comes IRR method would favor project proposals which have heavy cash inflows in the early stage of the project, evenly distributed cash inflows throughout the project, heavy cash inflows at the later stage of the project, or none of the above. IRR is basically a situation where you are discounting everyone in the initial years when you are dividing something, because you are actually dividing it by 1 plus R. The formula is basically 1 divided by 1 plus R raised to power n. Whenever you have to do, find the present value of something. Basically, do you remember compound interest? In terms of compound interest, how did we find the amount? The amount was basically P 1 plus R raised to power n. Now this is my present value. Okay? Now over the period of time, when you are going from present to future, you will do compounding. You are doing compounding only now, because your 100 rupees will increase further. But if you are coming back from future to present, your value is going to decrease because interest has to be eliminated. So instead of multiplying with the principal, you divide it. This is your future value, present value 1 plus R raised to power n. You take it, future value divided by 1 plus R raised to power n, and this is our present value. So technically, in this case, if your number is lower and you divide it by a higher number, your amount is going to decrease further. But if I say in would favor a project, that means when we want the cash flows to be higher. Heavy cash inflows in the early stages of the project, because this number is the least in the beginning, and over the period of time it increases further. है ना? Basically, inflows and outflows, it depends upon the inflows that you're getting, the outflows that you're getting. In the initial years, it is always better that you have heavy cash inflows in the early stages. So after discounting, you get a bigger number because your inflow is also big and your discounting factor is also a big number. Okay? So in this case, your total amount becomes bigger. Then In terms of the working after years, your inflow will decline and your discounting factor, which is multiplied, is also decline. Your amount will decline over the time. So the initial period is the one which is most favorable. Next point. While evaluating capital investment proposals, time value of money is used in which of the following techniques? Payback period, accounting rate of return, NPV, or none? In terms of while evaluating capital investment proposals, if I'm looking into the investment proposals, then payback period, ARR, NPV, or none. In terms of time value of money, NPV is the one. These two are non discounted techniques. Answer is NPV because this uses present value factor. Next point. There comes a project. A project has a net initial investment of 50,000 and is expected to generate a net cash flows of rupees 20,000, 25,000 and 30,000 the next 3 years, everyone. Matlab in the next 3 years your initial investment was of rupees 50,000 and in the next 3 year you are getting 20,000, second 25,000 and third 30,000. If the company's cost of capital is 12%, we're just talking about 12%, you know. So in this case, it is 12%. Okay, let's see. If I have a calculator, no, the one that I currently possess is not the one which has discounting factor. So what I'll do is I'll get a particular calculator for you and we'll show it in the revision class there. Okay, how does it work exactly? Till then, let me give you a particular view about it. Okay, I cannot share the calculator with you. It's not picking up. So I think let's do the topic only. Acha, let's do this. What you can do is you can open up your calculator and try this up. What you can do is you divide in terms of finding the discount factor. I told you in this case we divide. It is basically 1 divided by 12. And this is 1 plus 12%. It will give you 1.12. 1 divided by 1, 2 for the first year, 1 divided by 1, 2 for the second year, 1 divided by 1, 2 for the third year. You try to find this up. And how do we do it? Not every time you can do that now. First of all, this is 1 divided by 1.12. This is 1 divided by 1.12 square. Then we have 1 divided by 1.12 cube. So you cannot do the square and cube and then divide it. It's a very long process. So just click on 1 divided by 1.12. Okay, I'm doing this with you, everyone. 1 divided by, I'm just clicking on the same amounts. 1.12. For the first year, it comes out to be 0.892. This is equal to 0.892. Now do nothing. Just click on equal to again. You will see this will give you 0.797. If it is not giving, you are not using the correct calculator. This calculator does not have the discounting factor. Okay, now the next point. If I'm clicking on it again, I will get 0.711. This is 0.711. So in this case, what I'm going to do is 20,000 into 0.892 and this will give me an answer. 20,000 into 0.892, that is 17,840. This is the first term that you have to use. 17,840. Take it up and to save your time, what you can do is, I hope this is visible. To take your time now, just click on memory plus. It will go into the memory of your calculator. It will itself add it up. 0.797 into 25,000 gives you 19.925. 19.925. And last, that is 1 divided by 1.12. अच्छा हो गया था वो तो. This is 30,000 multiplied by 0.711 gives you 21,330. This is 21,330. And put it in the memory. So total comes out to be my answer comes out to be 90. This actually comes out to be 59,045, and your initial investment was of 50,000, and what you're going to earn in the upcoming years is 59,000. So technically this is 9045, nearest is 9042. So this organization is going to make 9042 in terms of the returns, which is a good point for this organization. है ना? That is what we'll be taking up in this case. Done, everyone? चलिए. Then this is the answer. So your answer comes out to be 9042. You just find the nearest one, and that is how you calculate it. In terms of the calculation of this part, what you can do is 1 divided by 1.12 on your calculators, everyone. And then you get the first value. Click on equal to again. You will get the second discounting factor. You get the third discounting factor, and then you multiply it with this, and you will get the answers. Okay? Which of the following is not a source of funds for meeting the cost of purchase of fixed assets by an enterprise? Credit by the supplier of assets, internal accrual, debentures, or DPG. These are not source of funds. We get funds from these, we get funds from, this is our savings, and debentures is the loan that we take. So technically all these are, but deferred payment guarantee. Matlab we have given a guarantee, but the payment would be made a little later. Deferred means postponement. This is not covered here. When the purchaser of the fixed assets does not pay the supplier immediately, they're saying that can I make the payment a little later, but pays according to an agreed repayment schedule. They have defined a schedule, and the bank guarantees this payment. This guarantee is called the DPG, Deferred Payment Guarantee. Which of the following ratio is indicative of the repayment capacity of the borrower in terms of a term loan? In terms of debt quick ratio is a current ratio. This should not be covered. Debt equity ratio can be taken up. Debt service coverage ratio and total operating leverage divided by the total net worth. In this case, the answer is going to be DSCR. This method is called debt service coverage ratio. In this case, this is a very judgmental ratio, but this ratio is accurate as well. This shows that if we have money, then to up to what extent are we having the debts that we are paying off. That means if I say that my total debt was of my total income was of 2 lakh rupees, and the debts that I have paid is of 20,000, and interest was, this is a principal, and the interest was of 4,000 rupees. So technically 2 lakh rupees would be divided by 24,000. Okay, this is the amount that I have to pay, and this is the amount that I have already taken from others as well as mine money. This is debt service coverage ratio. Do you have the capability to pay back? Right? Okay, I think I'll be skipping this bigger question. Now, let's talk about lease first. I'll come back to the question, surely, but a little later. Which one of the following is not a feature of lease? If I talk about lease is where one party agrees to allow use of its property by another party. The lessee has right to purchase the lease property. It is for a specific period. It ignores regular payments by lessee or lessor for the use of property. It involves regular payments. That is true. But uh, in this case, what will happen? One thing that is not there is the lessee has the right to purchase. You don't have the right. You can live in one particular house for years, and then if they ask you that where is the rent, and you cannot say this is I'm not an owner of this. You cannot. Okay, there is no point where you get the right to purchase. It is again at the in the hands of discretion of the owner only. Nobody else can do this. Which of one of the following is a distinctive feature of wet lease? We have dry lease as well as wet lease. The leased asset is operated by the lessor. The leased asset is transferred to the lessee at the end of the period. The lease is for a long period, or lease can be terminated and at any time. When we talk about distinctive feature, that means this makes it different from others. है ना? In this case, the answer is actually the leased or asset is actually operated by the lessor. Until unless lessee doesn't come and say that whatever has happened with them was wrong, and then they take over this particular asset, then it's a different scenario. And everyone, so next question: which one of the following is or are correct? Accounting treatment of finance operating lease is the same in the books, and accounting treatment of finance and operating lease is different in the books of the lessor. Lessor and lessee. Lessee may elect not to apply for ind AS. So ind AS is definitely there. All of the above are correct. They may choose or may not choose. That is still their choice. In this case, all the above statements are correct. You get a particular the particular lawyer in this or not, that is your choice. Even if you can get it on your own, you should get it on your own. Okay, this is about this entire chapter, everyone. I hope this session was helpful for you. Please go ahead and share this session among your peers and be there in the upcoming sessions as well. Your little efforts can definitely motivate me further to bring up new and new questions. So thank you so much. We'll be meeting on Monday now. Done, everyone. Bye bye.